Hello, everybody, and welcome to another weekly roundup. This one I'm doing a little earlier, so I'm not going to be able to go over next week's rankings or everything, but I want to make sure to get this out. First off, happy holidays to everybody. Thanks for supporting the SFA. If you want to get involved in the server, join the Discord. Link is in the description, and we always stream everything that you're going to see here. So this is always just a recap. If you want to watch it live, or if you want to be a part of the community and coach a team, join the Discord. So another just mind-boggling week. It seems this season is all about teams shitting themselves once they reach the top 5. Nobody seems to want to win. But game 1, this was Sicko's game of the week. Arizona got their first win of the season. Coach Dogwater over Coach Mike, who's off to a horrific 0-3 start. Georgia Tech had to settle for a field goal in overtime, and Arizona won it on a game-winning play. Kansas outlasted Southern Miss. This was a wild one on BearCave. Got a game-winning touchdown as time expired with the backup quarterback. And then my game, East Carolina, I had the lead. I gave up a game-tying field goal with 24 seconds left. And then Heimlich Heisenberg, the best wide receiver in the SFA. Some think it's Heisenberg, some think it's Brent Boozler. But to me, Heisenberg, I'm biased, but he gets it done every single time he's on stream. He's never gone a stream without scoring a touchdown. So he is just a touchdown machine. He caught a 65-yard bomb and broke a tackle for the game-winning touchdown. His time pretty much was expiring. This was game day, so Ohio State outlasted Minnesota. Minnesota probably should have won this game, but Boykin threw 3 interceptions in the first half. So, you know, the late push, they did take the lead there for a second, but Ohio State was able to come back and win it. This one, probably the saddest game of the week. Coach Nick, Tennessee, he loses by 1 point, and the reason is a missed kick here. Just painful because they tied it up, or he was up 13 at 1 point, and then he gave up a game-tying field goal or touchdown, and then obviously the game-winning touchdown with only 34 seconds left. So a really tough loss for Tennessee. I know a lot of people were rooting for him. Don't pay attention to the rankings, though, in this video. Florida likely does move up to 2, but these are not official. This is just what the game thinks. Buffalo, a lot of you guys missed it, but Buffalo actually had the lead here, and then they chawed it and gave up a game-winning touchdown at the end. So a rough loss for Buffalo. And then the game of the week by far, you had Michigan State Coach McNasty against Coach Flame. It went into overtime. Baylor made a comeback. 2 touchdowns from Eric Ebron, and then they just went back and forth, giving each other haymakers, Burnside, McBurnfinger, Burnside, McBurnfinger, and then in triple overtime, Burnside got a little nice pass into the end zone, and then they made the 2-pointer, and then McNasty loses. You stopped just short on the 2-point try. I'm going to have a full highlight video that should already be out by the time you're watching this. So please watch that. It was one hell of a game. Memphis, the pipe dream is kind of gone. Louisiana Tech, watch out. They're making moves here in the Conference USA. Miami avoids the upset from Syracuse. Nebraska stomps in FCS. Another big upset here. So NC State was number 5 in the country. Rutgers, the American team, came in and stomped them. Washington gets back in a groove here, beating UCLA. And then watch out for Houston as well. Another big victory. User on user. Arkansas, Coach Bohr could only muster 3 points. A little nifty upset here. Game-winning field goal for Coach Green at Kentucky. And then another big upset, number 2 in the country, goes down to South Carolina, probably the most hot and cold team ever in the SFA. Tulane absolutely smashed SMU. I expect them to be ranked this week. And a very weird upset here. You got Western Michigan, only had 1 year all season long last year. Wins in overtime at SDSU, who's kind of down bad. So it does look like rumors are true. It was all Garrett Grayson's success last year and years prior. Upset for Georgia State. Another little upset game, user versus user. Not really an upset, but an overtime game for NIU. He remains unbeaten. Another upset for UNC, and Nevada takes him out. Iowa puts up 51. They have a really good offense this year. Colorado puts up 59. Skook takes out Coach Puff. Ole Miss bounces back from the loss to Tennessee last week. California, they keep the MacGuffin, and they're going to move up. Haha, Chad Barber, suck a dick. You lost. People don't know I have a rivalry with him. Kansas State somehow gets it done. And then another big upset after a great game day in week 3. Penn State kind of shits themselves in the rain and can't muster more than 14 points. And then on the flip side, Louisiana, who got boat raced in game day, gets 20 points and beats Texas. So the SFA is always wild. ULM hangover after beating Michigan. They got smoked. And then another loss for the defending champions. So the SFA curse continues. Defending national championship never do well, and they're already 0-2. And they're definitely going to be unranked this week. And then finally, Maryland somehow squeaks out another one. Everyone does think they are fraudulent. And Old Dominion gets a victory. So a really weird week. Next week, though, on Monday, this will be a bit longer, 1 day longer of a season just because of Christmas. But this is guaranteed to be game day. This is a lore. McNasty versus Buffalo, McBurnfinger versus the guy who killed his father, all this media stuff. So watch out for that. This is going to be a great one, regardless of if it's a blowout or not. Let's take a look at what happened this week. So first we're going to look at the stats. So Braxton Miller still leads the country. Teddy Bridgewater had an amazing game this week in that triple overtime thriller. And Cal, Florida, and Ryan Fitzpatrick gets up there in the top 5. Rushing leader, still LSU, but a bunch of the same guys there. Jalen Wright holds tight at number 5. Brent Boozler currently leads the country in receiving yards, followed by Mike Evans, 2 SFA players at the top. Tackle-wise, pretty much all SFA teams, but McCormack's the only SFA player. Sack leaders, a bunch of kind of no-names, but 5.5 sacks through 4 weeks is very impressive. Interceptions, C. Wright had a big week. He's up to 4 in his sole possession of the lead. And kicking has not changed all that much. Aguayo still leads the country, but a few more 53-yarders. And let's take a look at the players of the week. So huge performance this week from Teddy Bridgewater. He had 7 total touchdowns, 500 yards, just absolutely fantastic game. On the flip side, 4 interceptions in this game for Rice. So he had 4 interceptions on Case McCoy. Not what you want to see there. Did not mean to go to week 1. Marcus DeLoach gets Defensive Player of the Week despite the loss. Coach Mike did make the switch after an injury to put DeLoach in, and he came through. 2 sacks, a fumble, and Braxton Miller, obviously 5 more touchdowns. Expect him to be in the Heisman conversation here soon. Big Ten, you had 2 picks for Iowa. Doug Chonkla, SFA player, 3 TDs, 180 total yards. JJ Justice with a fumble recovery and a fumble forced. He gets Player of the Week. And Teddy Bridgewater again. Alex Oden, a big week for him in an upset of Clemson. And then ECU, Bo Wallace, I probably would have put Heimlich Heisenberg up here, but 400 yards, 3 TDs, you cannot be upset with that. Conference USA, 2 sacks, fumble force, 6 TFLs for the Raging Cajun. And then Tulane absolutely dominated, over about 200 yards total offense, 4 TDs. Huge game there. Conover, they got a big win. Brett Huntley gets Player of the Week against UTEP. Ronald Gillum, despite the loss, he gets 135 yards and 3 TDs. Jalen Polk, 309 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns. Holy smokes, he just dominated the UCLA defenders. And then in the big upset, Del Rio, Wilson, and Larry Glover. I expect this team to be rated in the top 5. Definitely surprised with how good Florida has been this year so far. And then finally in the Sun Belt, 240 yards and 3 TDs for Nate Jefferson, and then a fumble forced and a fumble recovery, along with 3 TFLs for Coastal and Chris Duncan. All right, now let's go over the Heisman Watch. So moving up this week, for some reason, Jalen Knighton, even though he does not start, is still up here with a 64 total yards. Jalen Wright, he's technically, I'd say, number 1. Del Rio is climbing there. Florida's doing fantastic. Somehow Stroud gets his name up here despite an performance. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, another great day, 3 total TDs. And I don't think he threw interceptions this week, which is surprising. As far as toughest places to play, let's take a look, see the changes of the week. Texas now is in sole possession of the worst home streak in the country, losing 7 in a row, followed by Duke, and then a bunch of teams here at 5, with users including Vandy. As far as home winning streaks, obviously Ohio State, Kansas State, Coastal, which is a surprising one, and Tulane, which is a surprising one, and then Tennessee here at 6. Now finally, everybody's favorite time of the week is to go through injuries. This week, a couple really devastating ones. Quite a few SFA players, to be exact. We're going to start here going back to Baylor. Shad Boyko pulled his groin he's going to be out the next 2 weeks. Freshman All-American in his sophomore campaign. Hasn't really gotten off to that great of a start, and he's going to miss 2 more weeks. He's going to miss Notre Dame game next week. Then we're going to go to Buffalo. Their starting running back, he will be out for game day. Strained Achilles, that's a tough one. We will see Apollo Ames as a starter on game day, who's an SFA player. We saw it on BearCave, and it's confirmed. J.J. Watt did dislocate his ankle. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. He was able to pop it in himself and run off the turf. He's only going to miss a month. I'm glad it's only a month. He's definitely pretty much all of my pass rush, so definitely a tough one there. And then finally, we're going to go all the way down to Syracuse. This is minor injuries, and we'll get to major ones here in a second. Syracuse, David Young, SFA player. He was a top 10 prospect. He has a hip pointer that's going to keep him out for 2 weeks. The ACC is completely up for grabs, so this might be tough because everybody's kind of jockeying for position. But let's go take a look at these big injuries. There's not that many this week. I'm only going to show you the notable ones that are SFA related. But first off is where's the team? USF. Here we go. Kevin Byard, the SFA safety. He fractured his foot and he will miss the remainder of the season. This is our 3rd SFA player to go down for the year this year. So definitely tough for a South Florida team that's struggling early. Luckily, there's no other SFA players, though, that suffered major injuries. One injury, though, as we saw a few weeks ago, Kansas State, they lost Rubley earlier in the season to a broken hand. This week, it's Will Howard. He tore his groin. He's going to miss 9 weeks, so he won't be back until week 13, week 14. And so this is going to be a really tough loss, 1 and 2 on the depth chart. And unfortunately, they don't quite have the same depth at the 3rd spot as they did at the 2nd spot, as their new starter for the foreseeable future is going to be Joe Mitchell, the 69 overall quarterback, 75 speed, 67 awareness, 70 throw power, and 79 accuracy. So a very tough loss. This is a playoff team from last year, and they were hoping to be as good. They've kind of struggled. They are 3-0, but they have struggled early here in the season. So it definitely might look like they are not repeating with a trip to the playoff, unless this guy decides to put up Chad Barber-esque numbers. So yeah, another crazy week in the book. Like I said, our schedule would have the next game day fall on Christmas, we will not have that. It will be the next day on the 26th. I do not know what time. It may be early, maybe late, but Michigan State's the #2 scoring offense in the country, and Buffalo is not. So this is a rivalry. It might be close, or it might be a big blowout. We will see. But thank you guys for watching another weekly roundup. As always, let me know in the comments what you thought about this week, what surprised you, what didn't, and we're going to see if anybody in the country wants to be ranked high, because it seems like nobody does. But yeah, thanks for watching.